it's Susan Crutchfield from the Noonan Carnegie Library, and welcome to LinkedIn 101. Today we're going to be discussing LinkedIn. Even though LinkedIn is technically considered a social media platform, it's more like your professional resume online with a lot of different extras added in. LinkedIn is such a valuable tool, whether you're just trying to do it for professional development or if you're job hunting. There's so many different things that you can do on LinkedIn, and there's so much to it. So today we're going to talk about how to set up your profile, what you should do for each section, and then we'll go into all the different tools and how to use them. LinkedIn is a really valuable tool, and I'm excited to show you how to use it today. Let's get started. The goals of this class are to talk about why LinkedIn is important and why you should be on it and you should be using it, and how to use LinkedIn for networking and job hunting. So why is LinkedIn important? You can use LinkedIn to establish and control your professional brand. It's almost like your online home, but very professional, where you might consider your Facebook page to be personal and you put stuff out there for your friends and family. You want LinkedIn to be absolutely professional. It's like your professional home. It would just be like your resume, but online, where you wouldn't necessarily, put personal photos on there or anything like that, but you want everything to have to do with your professional brand. Also, LinkedIn really does own the recruiting process. A lot of companies use LinkedIn to recruit people. A lot of people will check your LinkedIn profile when you're job hunting. And it's also such a great tool in order to make business relationships with other people and make connections and keep up with what other people are doing. So whether you're in the market for a job or whether you just want to keep these good connections going in your professional life, it really is a must to be on LinkedIn. So let's get into the actual meat of how to set up a LinkedIn profile and what everything consists of in LinkedIn. First of all, you want to think about photos. You need two different types of photos. You need a profile photo and a cover photo. For a profile photo, I usually suggest you do a professional headshot of some type. And don't just put like a blurry selfie or a photo in there of you with someone else. You want this to be very professional because you want to put your best foot forward for recruiters and for your fellow business connections. So you always want to make sure that's a really nice, well shot, well lit, really nice photo. And then the cover photo, you can either make it be something that is from the company you work for or your industry, or maybe you just want to do a cover photo that has your business's logo on it. There's a variety of different things you can do. We're going to scroll to the next page and I'll show you what my cover photo looks like when I'm highlighting my photography business that I own. Okay, so this is what is at the top of your LinkedIn profile. The photo in the middle that you see is round. That's my profile photo. So as you can see, it's very professional looking and lit really well. And then the cover photo is what you see, the longer one at the top. So on the left-hand side, it has a photo of me taking pictures. And then on the right-hand side, it has my business name and my website. And I just designed that in Canva, which is a really great tool for marketing materials. And there's all sorts of things you can do in Canva. So I suggest you check that out. It's at Canva, canva.com. Check it out. There's all sorts of different things that you can do in there. So this is where I made that. And all I did was typed in LinkedIn cover photo, and it actually had the dimensions and everything in there, so they make it really simple. And you can add the text in there, and you don't have to have some fancy program to do it. It's really a great tool to use. So I suggest you try that out. But as you can see, I didn't make it too cluttered. I just made it really simple with my business name and my website. And you could also add your phone number or email in there as well. Now let's move on to the headline. The headline is right under all of your profile picture information, and what it is, it's basically saying this is what I am professionally. So your headline can either be your job title, or maybe you're job hunting and you don't currently have a job title. So say for instance you're in human resources, you could put HR professional or human resources professional or something like that. Just you want to be able to tell people what it is you're looking for, or you can put your current job title up there, whatever you prefer. And as another note, you want to make sure when you're on your LinkedIn page that you can add your customized URL. So that would be like LinkedIn-Susan Crutchfield. So it doesn't just have a lot of different letters and numbers in there on your URL. You can do a customized one, and you can find that in the settings panel. And then you want to make sure you have a professional email address to use on LinkedIn. You don't want to put babygirl89 or I lift weights 25 or even the year of your birth or the year you graduated college and your email address. You want something professional, either first name, last name, or first name dot last name. You just have to remember that this is your professional home, and just imagine anyone who looks at your profile is looking at it before you go for a job interview. What do you want them to see? So here is what your headline looks like. As you can see for mine, it has my first and last name, and then owner Susan Crutchfield Photography. And then underneath it has a couple of my different places I'm connected to. So first of all, it's Susan Crutchfield Photography, which is my photography business. And then University of West Georgia, since that's where I graduated from college. And then it also says, well, she's in the greater Atlanta area, which would include Noonan. And then to the right-hand side, you'll see there's a number, and that's the number of connections I've made on LinkedIn. And if you look to the far right, you see there's a little pencil, and if you hit that, then that's how you edit any of that stuff. You can change any of it to say whatever you would like, and you can move around your job. So maybe you have more than one job like I do. This is what my profile looks like when I'm advertising my photography business. It currently does not look like this. This is a little older, and now I have the Carnegie up there. So you can change those around, depending on what you want to be in your headline. A summary is almost, I would say, more like a cover letter or something. It's a little bit longer than your headline. Your headline's kind of a snapshot of who you are and what you're connected to. And your summary is more like your personal story. So what you want to do is, first of all, personalize it. Make it very personal, but in a professional manner. Once again, this is your professional home. This is not your Facebook page. So you want to make sure when you're telling your story, you're telling it professionally. You can do up to 2,000 characters in the summary, but you also want to remember to be really authentic. Be honest, but in a professional way. And that will really come through to the people who are reading your profile. And then you should put some type of call to action in there. Let's look at my example. This just kind of tells my story as far as photography goes. It starts out with kind of a personal story about me writing in my journal when I was 12 that I wanted to be a photographer, and then it kind of goes through my biography a little bit. Now, as a photographer, you really are trying to make relationships and connect with people, so it's actually a little more personal than it would be if it was some other industry. So it just kind of talks about how I built my business up, when it started. And then in the very last paragraph, it kind of goes through what I offer for photography services. And then you can see in the last line, there's my call to action. Contact me today to find out how I can help you with your photography needs. You always want to try to put some kind of call to action in there, whether it's contact me today so I can help your business, or contact me today if you're hiring. Whatever it is that you're trying to get out of it, try to put some kind of call of action. It can even be just call me if you need help with anything, whatever you want to do, try to put some call to action in there. And then we're going to move on to the experience section. The experience section is basically where you list all your experience from your resume. So it really is like your online resume. Just take your resume and kind of transfer it all to the LinkedIn page. You want to make sure you maximize your experience. Let's scroll down and look and see what it looks like. So this is a snapshot of what mine looked like last year when I first did this class. You can see under experience, I have owner Susan Crutchfield Photography. It lists the years that I have been there, and that has a description of what I actually do. And then down here, you can also see you can add media. So what I did is I just added a section for wedding photographer and newborn photography, and that would go straight to my website. And we'll talk about media a little bit later. And then on the next line, you can see my other job that I used to have here at the Carnegie before I was the director, and you can see the time listed there, and then also what I do in the job. So just make sure that you're not just listing your jobs out. You want to put what you're actually doing, because that will help recruiters or people who are looking at your profile see what you're able to do. The next section is education. This is pretty self-explanatory. It's all your college or your high school, whatever you want to put on there. Just as a note, if you were in any groups, whether it was in high school or college, make sure you put them on there, because that's what a lot of recruiters would actually like to see. Plus, it can actually help you connect with other people who are in the same groups. So you always want to put that there. And if you have not been to college, you should add any certifications that you've had, or if you went to college for a while but didn't graduate, still put that on there. You want to put any education on there that you have had. So this is what the education section looks like. So you see, I just listed my university, my degree, the years I went there, and then I have activities and societies. So these are all the things that I was involved in when I was at college, or any honors that I got. So you want to list that all there, so that should be under the education section. So this is where you would take some of your skills from up in the experience section and translate them into people endorsing you. So you can list these skills that you have, and people can say, oh yeah, I've worked with her on a photography project before. Let me go ahead and click on this button, and it will show the other people who come on the page that, hey, this person has recommended that, yes, they've worked with this person and they have this skill. So it's a great way to get almost like a reference letter with just one click of the button. And the recommendations are the same thing. Let's scroll down here and see what these look like. Okay, so the first one are skills and endorsements. So you can see I have photography listed. 12 people have recommended me for that. I used to work in sports, so 9 people have recommended me for that. And event planning, 7. So, and if you hit show more, you could see a lot more skills. So these are things that people have endorsed me in. So these are really great. It's a wonderful tool. And I always suggest you ask people to endorse you, or you go and endorse other people, and they will often do the same to you. But don't be afraid to ask for it. And then recommendations is even more helpful. This is actually a little harder to get because it takes a little more time. As you can see, this person has given me a recommendation for my photography, one of my clients, and she's written this really nice thing. And so now when other people go on there and see that, it gives you a little more trust. It's almost like a review, but for your professional life. So these are great. Just make sure when you ask people that you're not asking them to do too much time-intensive things for you. It's always better to ask someone that you can turn around and give them a recommendation to, because it does take a little bit more time to come up with this. But these two are such a valuable tool of LinkedIn, and I suggest you spend a little time with it. Interest in group is another great way that LinkedIn gives you just these wonderful tools for professional networking. So basically, when you go in and you put the different groups you were in, you can add your interests. It's going to create these lists which are based on companies, schools, groups, and interests. So let's scroll down and see what mine are. So as you can see, these are companies I've worked for or companies that I followed. So the first two, I worked for the Atlanta Braves for about 7 years when I was in college and a little bit post-college. So it automatically has put me in the Atlanta Braves group with a bunch of other people who worked there. I also went to the University of West Georgia, so it's put me in that group. And then I followed the Canon USA. Since I'm a photographer, I use Canon cameras, and it's put me in that group. So this is a great way where you can network with other people who are in your community. For instance, if you're applying for a job and you know who's going to interview you, you really should go on LinkedIn and look them up, because that way you can see some things about them. So maybe that will help you ask some questions. But even better, say you're interviewing for a job at a company, you can go on and type that company in, and it can bring up a list of people who work there, and maybe you have a connection there. So maybe you can shoot someone an email, or maybe you have a mutual friend who has a connection there, and you can kind of try to make that connection, because we all know networking is so important in your professional life. So this is such a great tool. And as you can see, you can join groups over here to the right. And then when you go over to the right to the schools, it will also list any schools you went to. So this is just a really great tool, another wonderful thing that I love about LinkedIn. So media, I promise we talk about this later, and this is where you can add photos or videos to your LinkedIn profile. Say you've been featured in a newspaper article or a magazine or a video, or maybe if you own your own business, you've done a commercial or something like that. This is a place where you can put it. This is one of the newer things about LinkedIn. It's been around a little over a year, but it's really useful. Let's scroll down and see. And once again, mine are just, those are two for my website. I think currently I might have some articles from the Noonan Times-Herald that have featured the Carnegie. So you can put anything you want there. And that's just another great feature that LinkedIn offers to showcase yourself or your business. Okay, let's talk about jobs. That's a huge part of LinkedIn. Like I said earlier, LinkedIn really does own the recruiting process. There's so much you can do with jobs on LinkedIn. You can do a job search, and then like I said before, you can go in and you can look up people who are going to interview you. You can see what reviews company have on LinkedIn. You can just find out so much more about them, the type of people who work there, all sorts of stuff. So it's a great tool if you use the search function in LinkedIn. But also, LinkedIn has added a lot of features, and one of them includes a career advice hub. The Career Advice Hub is a great place to get advice for when you're looking for jobs in your industry or out of your industry. Maybe you want to go into a new industry. Let's just scroll down and see what this looks like. So here they'll ask you a few questions like, where are you in your job search? And you can let them know you're actively looking and applying, casually looking to see what's available, not looking but open to the right offer, not looking and not open to opportunities. So that's why they kind of know where to go. They use an algorithm to show you different things. And then, as you'll see down here, they're listed some jobs you might be interested in. Now, this would be based on your job skills and all of the information you've already entered into LinkedIn. So you can even sign up for them to send you job openings if you'd like that. And it's just really useful. Another interesting thing I want to point out, if you look down here, it says Marketing and Communications Intern Summer Semester. And down here, you can see that 5 West Georgia alumni work there. That's such a great tool. So once again, you can try to make some professional networks. Maybe you can be like, oh, we went to the same college, or we used to work at the same company. So that's another thing. As you see, they just highlight it right there for you. And then here you can put your career interests. You can let recruiters know you're open. You can toggle that on and off, and that is private. So say you're in a job and you don't want your boss to know you're hunting, you can do this privately. And then down here, you can put in, this is where I am in my job search. I would like to start a new job in 6 months or, a month or whatever. You can put your start date there, and then job titles you're considering, locations you want to work in, what kind of jobs you're open to. And based on all of this, it will give you a lot of different job opportunities and can put you in front of recruiters. We've already talked about connecting in other ways already, but let's talk about networking. The first thing you do when you sign up for LinkedIn is if you let LinkedIn pull from your contacts, like your email or your phone contacts, it will automatically pull up all the people who are listed there, so you can go ahead and add them. And that's the way you make connections, and you can connect with people that you have a professional relationship with, that you've worked with jobs before. Once you start connecting with people, it will give you even more suggestions of people you might know. Now, if it's someone that you are connected with professionally, but maybe you don't know them that well, it does allow you to do a customized connection message. So maybe you want to say, hey, I know you from here. Just thought we'd like to connect, or you can just send the regular LinkedIn message. But I always suggest trying to make it more personal and adding a customized message. And you'll see that option when you go to ask someone to connect with you. But another part of connection is interacting. Once again, this is a social media platform, so there is that social aspect. And you want to interact with other people's posts on your main feed. You want to like, share, and comment because you want them to do the same to you. Just remember, once again, this is a professional place, so don't be like you would be on Facebook. Always use proper grammar and punctuation and all that. Just be really professional. And another good thing about LinkedIn is they also have a private message system. It's just like a Facebook Messenger. If you want to send someone a private message, you can do it here. And that's really helpful if you want to connect with someone, but you may not want to have a conversation where everyone can see it, especially if you're job hunting and you don't want people to know that you are. So let's talk about what kind of content you want to post to your feed in LinkedIn. You really don't have to post content all the time. You just want to post things that are really good. So you would post something from your industry, your business, anything professional that you want to post. Just be careful that you're not posting just for posting's sake, and really just post things of quality. You can post original content, you can post links from your website, you can share content from other people, you can share content from other places online that really that you find helpful professionally and business-wise. And don't forget to link to other people, tag other people, and use hashtags when it's appropriate. So here's an example of something I posted. This was an article that I found about why professional photography is worth it. And it was just about a person who had all these old photos that she found in her attic and how much it meant to her. So this is not something like from my website, or it's not one of my blog posts of a photo session. It's completely from outside, but it has to do with my industry. So I posted that. You can see I used a couple of hashtags, but it's just real simple. Thank you so much for joining me for LinkedIn 101 today. We went over it fairly fast, and it's much easier when people are standing in front of me and can ask questions. But if you have a question, feel free to ask it down below, or you can also email me at susan.crutchfield@cityofnoonan.org, or send us a private message and I can respond to any message. Sometimes the best way is to ask in the comments. That way, if someone else had the same question, they can see it as well. But thanks for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.